things are better left unknown. And I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner is it in her? What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion? I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion.
Rippin' Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Rippin' Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
Multiverse broadcasting system initiated.
Lasers.
Multiverse connection established.
Lasers.
Hello.
Multiverse connection secure.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
This is My Life DIY, and
hi, this is JoJo.
Hi, my name is Ash.
Hey everybody, it's AJ the Rippin' Rabbit.
This is Cynthia Sue Larson.
This is your man Meta, aka Propagate This Light.
And you're now listening
to DarkWolf's Den.
The DarkWolf's Den Show on Rippin' Common Sense Radio.
Are ghosts real?
We had 1,000 hours of continuous communication with the spirit world.
Does time travel actually exist?
The laws of physics seem to be compatible with time machines.
You know, sometimes I wonder about reincarnation. Don't you?
A 4-year-old boy in Adelaide, Australia, has told his parents that he used to be Britain's Princess Diana.
What would happen if the world found out that aliens were real?
I didn't say disclosure would be easy, but what is the alternative?
To establish a space force as the 6th branch of the armed forces.
We have so many questions and yet so little time, so to have you here, the pleasure is all mine.
Coming to you from a secret cave, hidden deep within the wilderness. This is the DarkWolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and we are broadcasting live across the multiverse from a secret cave hidden deep within the wilderness of Tennessee. That's right. We're ripping through the electromagnetic soup, tearing through the atmosphere, and tunneling away into your radio like a quantum particle. This is the DarkWolf's Den Show for Thursday, September 2nd, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are covering a cryptid creature called the Bearilla. A really intriguing creature found somewhere in the backwoods of Kentucky, not very far from yours truly. And we're going to dig into the mysterious case files of a creature that is even new to me, ladies and gentlemen. So even in 28 years of paranormal researcher, I still find things I've never run across before, tonight being one of them. We're going to get into all that here in just a moment, but first let's go ahead and give a quick shout out to our chat rooms over here on YouTube. We got Michael Fontaine in the chat room over on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. Congratulations, Michael Fontaine. We appreciate you hanging out over there, as well as X-Gen stopping in. So just wanted to say safe evening to all fellow travelers off to work. Catch it on the replay. Appreciate you being here, X-Gen, at least stopping in to say hi. Champion Sports Nation advertising the Tuesday night videos. That's right, coming up this Tuesday night, as well as the Wonderland, the song that brings in our intro. And then over in the DarkWolf's Den Show chat, JoJo's first in the chat room over there tonight. Michael Fontaine says, Jerry, when you get to Tennessee, are you going to talk about Dunbar Cave? Just wondering. You know, I'm sure it will come up without a doubt. Alva Yarder over there. Hello, Alva. Glad to have you here. Says, hello, JoJo's and Michael. Hello, Alva. Of course, JoJo's over there says, much love, JoJo's. And I appreciate having every last one of you guys with us tonight, whether you're listening on the radio worldwide or on the YouTubes worldwide over there, whether on the DarkWolf's Den Show YouTube or the Ribbon Rabbit Hole YouTube. We're glad to have every last one of you guys with us. But let's go ahead and dig into this episode. But before we do that, we've got a couple little fun things to get out of the way. Like our next segment here that we call Today in History. I gotta say, I really love this Today in History. On this day in 1901, Theodore Roosevelt advises, speak softly and carry a big stick. And I know a lot of people that I know carry quite a big stick. You know, some of them have dimensions like 30 by 30 or 20 by odd 6. Quite a big stick. Whatever the case may be, whatever dimension of stick that you like to carry. Walk softly, or speak softly, and carry a big stick. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, and that is today's Today in History. Although I know some prefer smaller sticks like 9 millimeters or 20 inches, whatever the case may be. You guys know what I'm saying over there. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our next segment of the day.
Say what?
Our quote of the day today, ladies and gentlemen. I did not realize what I did when I did this. You'll understand here in just a moment. Quote says, and I quote, "It is only through labor and painful effort, by grim energy and resolute courage, that we move on to better things," end quote. The author, Teddy Roosevelt, ladies and gentlemen. I did not realize that my Today in History and my quote both came from Teddy Roosevelt today. As a matter of fact, I didn't notice it until just a couple of seconds ago. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, and that is today's segment of
Say What?
And there you go, guys. I did not know that I had chosen 2 Teddy Roosevelt quotes until literally just a couple seconds ago, guys. So there you go. I'm kind of mind-boggled. Talk about a meant-to-be situation, right? And speaking of meant-to-be situations, I stepped in the Tuesday night videos last month, and somehow, even being late, ended up winning the championship belt over there. And I promised you guys a picture of the winner. And as much as I am a man of my word, I forgot it yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. So here we go. Here is the picture of the Dark Wolf champion of Tuesday night videos. Thank you, Champion Sports Nation, for making this. I very sincerely appreciate it. This is too awesome. And as you see here, guys, you got myself standing in front of the UFO. I'm not sure if I'm coming or going because I've got the bags with me, so it looks like I may have just be coming off the UFO. Whoever caught that, they caught it at a great time just as I exited over on the extraterrestrial highway. That was a heck of a journey back, let me tell you. In all seriousness, thank you again, Champion Sports Nation, for this amazing picture. I very, very sincerely appreciate it. You did a great job with it. And if you guys want to claim that championship belt right there I'm wearing, make sure you come on over to the Tuesday night videos on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole this coming Tuesday. And the topic is back to school, if I'm correct, Champion. Go ahead and put over there in the chat. Let me know if I'm right. I believe it's back to school is the topic this week, or this month. So if you want to steal that championship belt, come on over and see if you can beat me in Tuesday night videos. But getting into the main topic tonight, we are, of course, talking about the cryptid creature called the Bearilla. That's right. This is, again, a brand new creature to me, a case file that was just brought to me last week, as a matter of fact. A creature that stalks the Kentucky backlands, a creature known as Bearilla.
Kentucky, a small rural state nestled in the eastern center of the United States, famous for its horse racing, bourbon, and bluegrass music. American history is never far away here. The town of Mount Sterling lies at the base of the Appalachian Mountains. Founded in 1790, it boasts 7,000 residents, every one of them proud of their history. For centuries, locals have been told that the forest hides aggressive, potentially lethal creatures.
And I can tell you there is a lot of open, wooded areas still existent in the south of the USA, in areas like the backwoods of Kentucky.
The Bearilla, a biped with werewolf-like features.
And one of the best things about this particular case file is we have a lot of modern-day witnesses. And I mean a lot of them.
I'm Jason Caldwell. I'm 31 years old. I've lived in Mount Sterling, Kentucky my whole life. I like to hunt, fish, and take care of my kids.
My name is Jeff Caldwell, and I'm his father. Got a great son here. I'm really proud of him.
It's been 15 years since Jason saw Bearilla. The encounter has haunted him ever since.
Well, Jason, he always has been a hunter, you know. After this, he's uncomfortable being in the woods now by himself, you know, and I can understand why, you know.
And I've said many, many times across these case files, you can really tell when something happened to someone when it changes an aspect, or if not their entire personality. Those things don't just happen one day. There usually takes some type of a causal purpose when that happens. Normally a paranormal purpose when they've seen something that reality says or science says is not supposed to be able to exist. Something like the Bearilla.
Summer 99, me and 5 other guys camping. I was going to graduate in a couple years, and we had a fishing trip planned the next day, you know. So we was going to be up early. No drinking that night at all. You know, it was just good, clean fun. We go to sleep, 3 of us stay in the truck, 3 of us sleep in the tent, a small tent. Guys hear something, wake me up. It says something's around the tent. Open up the tent and look. I seen it 40 yards away, tall, 6 foot, 6.5, 7 foot tall, gray, silver-like creature. You know, it wasn't a human-like face, a little bit of a long muzzle, and then it was gone. It was just a feeling I've never felt, you know, seeing something like that.
Now, here is the part where I take issue. So some people claim that this is a bear crossed with a gorilla crossed with a wolf. So it has like a wolf's face, the body of a gorilla, and probably the hands and feet of the bear, I would assume. But see, I think personally that this is a misidentified Sasquatch. I really do. Of course, according to some people, I'm crazy. Sasquatches don't have the snout and that wolf face. So based on what you guys have heard so far, what do you think? Do you think it could be a Sasquatch? Go ahead, put a 1 if you agree with me. It's an unidentified Sasquatch, or a misidentified Sasquatch, I should say. Go ahead and put a 2 in the chat room if you think no. It's definitely not a Sasquatch. It's something else, whether cryptid or explainable. It's definitely something else. Or put a 3 in the chat room if you're even more confused than I am.
The other guys immediately had fear. I had fear after, you know, I told them what I had seen. They was ready to go like I was. And, you know, the other guys was with us. They wasn't in the tent. They didn't get to see it. They didn't believe us. But we left. You know, we got out of there.
But it turns out his father has also had experiences with this same creature.
Well, in '96, I was coming home from a coon hunting competition about 4:30 in the morning, and I come around the road and in a curve, and there was something come off the road, you know, and cross the road, about 6, 7 foot tall, you know, and it had a sort of a muzzle-like, pointed ears, or silver-like brown, you know, just different colors. And then I just swerved over, and then it just turned and went off over the hill, you know, and I'm gone and it's gone. Who's gonna make up a story like that, you know?
And I agree, who's going to make up a story like that? However, one thing I am finding interesting is that I've never heard of a silverish brown Sasquatch. Matter of fact, I've never heard of a silver Sasquatch. But silverish brown, like gray haired, that I've never seen, one that has reached that age of maturity. But let's see what you guys say over in the chat room. Did you agree with me that it's a possibly misidentified Sasquatch? Or did you say that it is probably not that, or that you're unsure? Let's see what we have over here in the YouTube chat rooms. We have Champion Sports Nation on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole chat room over there with the 3. He is completely unsure. Can't say I blame him there. Sandy B is in the room. Hello, Sandy. Hello, Errol. Glad to have you here also. No response from Errol. All right. And over in the DarkWolf's Den Show chat room, Michael Fontaine dropped in against us. Hello, everyone. Hello, Michael. Glad to have you back in there. Alva said she's jumped back in the Riffin' Rabbit Hole. Glad to have you back over there, too. JoJo's with the 22222. She definitely thinks this is unquestionably a real creature. This is probably Dogman, possibly. It could account for some Dogman sightings, never know. Saba comes in every color, she says. So let us get back here to what we've been looking into tonight. But getting back to our topic here, the eyewitness claimed that he had seen this big creature while he was camping, and his father verified that he had also seen a creature of that type before. However, they weren't the first 2 in Kentucky to have seen a creature like that. As a matter of fact, they had just become the latest 2 to see something like that.
You know, I have no explanation for what it was. So it just prompted me to do more research and that's when I found out about Bearilla.
In Kentucky, there have been a lot of cryptid sightings reported in the last several decades of Bearilla, literally from one end of the state to the next. Once you get outside of the cities and the small towns, you quickly run into a lot of just open farmland, a lot of wilderness, especially to the east of here. So for things to live in those areas outside of the usual traffic of humans here in Kentucky, it's quite possible that every now and again their paths intersect with those creatures in the wilderness.
Like we know in the Alaskan wilderness and these many, many other states that have these wide open territory that is rarely, if ever, touched by man.
The paranormal knocks on your door. It's Ron Coffey you'd call to the rescue. According to Ron, you need a certain amount of background information to better understand the Bearilla phenomenon.
And I fully agree, we need all the background information that we can get to fully understand any cryptid, including the Bearilla.
Well, first off, the name. How did it get that name? Back in 1972, a farmer saw it walk across the road in front of him, described as solid white, long-haired, rather hunched over. But anyway, he was the first person to actually go to the media about it in 1972. And the only words he could think of to describe it was it's half bear and half gorilla. The news media picked up and called it the Bearilla.
And once again, based on this information, I still believe it is a misidentified Sasquatch, but that is just my belief.
So that's how it got to be the Bearilla. And then there was a whole rash of sightings along about that time. Most people just describe it as basically people use the word werewolf as being the best description, and I hate to use that word because people automatically get the wrong idea. I don't believe in werewolves, not in the traditional sense, but that's the description most people give. It looks like a werewolf.
Which is where the issue comes in calling it just a Sasquatch, right? Because most of the eyewitnesses after that have said it looks more like a werewolf than a gorilla or bear, so that's interesting in and of itself. And by the way, the nickname for the Bearilla is also called the Gateway Werewolf.
Aside from minor differences, witness testimonies are remarkably consistent.
Which those of you who have been listening to this show for quite a while know that is incredibly important in any paranormal case file, is to have that consistency across a multitude of eyewitnesses, especially those that do not know each other.
The Bearilla is described as being about 2 meters tall, with a coat of black and silver fur, able to move on 2 or 4 legs. It has a wolf-like face, long, menacing arms, and sharp claws and teeth. If you see one, run.
You know, I said in last night's show, I'd like to think I'd know what I would do if faced with the situation of a cryptid or any paranormal, as a matter of fact. I've always said I'd be the first one to run out to a UFO and start knocking on the door, talking about, hey, let's go, let's get out of here. These people are crazy, you know. But seriously, we never know how we'll react in a situation until we get into that situation. And though this creature sounds very scary, I don't know if I would run or if I would be so intrigued that I would want to find a place to observe it. You know what I mean? I'm not sure what I would do in a case like that. What would you guys do? I know Terry Taggart last night said she would just shoot it and be done with it. And, you know, again, a lot of people can say that's what they do, but what do you think you would do in that situation? Put a 1 if you would stick around and do some more investigating and observing and try to find out what's going on. Go ahead and put a 2 in the chat room if you would just run for your life and not look back, and put a 3 if you're really unsure what you would do without being in the situation. And while we're waiting for you guys to put your answers in the chat over there, Ron Coffey, how did you get interested in the case of the Bearilla?
It was during his childhood, on a terrifying summer night spent in the woods, that Ron Coffey's quest began.
Cousins and I were someplace we weren't supposed to be, of course. We saw what looked like a very large dog walking on all 4s toward us. He comes up on 2 legs and lets that kind of a screech, howl type sound. It was tall, Had very long pointed ears, real long elongated snout, and actually begins to chase us on two legs.
And I will admit, it is that snout, that werewolf-like design that really is throwing me off on my claim that it's just a misidentified Sasquatch. You don't misidentify something with multiple witnesses having the same misidentification, right? It's kind of like the Mandela effect. You don't have multiple people who don't know each other who have the same, quote, mismemory. So I very well may be wrong. It may not be a Sasquatch at all.
Chased us probably about 20 feet. And then it veered off into a little trail back into some brush and disappeared. But it moved very quick, and it was very adept on two legs.
Well, we do know that bears do get onto two legs and tend to run sometimes on two legs. So what about a bear, Ron?
A bear doesn't move that way. A dog doesn't walk on two legs. So it had to have been something totally different to what we're used to. And of course, we went back and told everybody we saw a werewolf. Of course, everybody said we was crazy, but we were just kind of laughed at. And so, you know, that was the end of that story. We never saw it again. When we get together to this day, we still talk about that. So yeah, it stuck with all of us.
Since then, Ron Coffey has never stopped looking for the monster. In 2012, Bearilla resurfaced in the region.
And what would Ron do if he did run into Bearilla to this day? And that's still yet to be determined. But let's see what you guys said you would do if you ran into Bearilla. We got over here. Errol says, one, she would definitely stick around and see what is going on. Tommy Apples, welcome, says, what dimension did this monster come from? What the heck? I know, Tommy. When I first was given this cryptid creature to look into, I thought it was a joke. I honest to goodness thought it was a joke till I got to looking into it, and I'll be darned, it's a cryptid that I had not heard of after all. Alva Yarder says, is that an actual photo? No, Alva Yarder, that is actually a photoshopped photo of this creature. I do hope, anyway. If I seen something like that, I may very well run. Tommy Apple's more like Bearzilla, right? Over here in the DarkWolf's Den Show chat room, Rigo Rungel says, man, bear, pig. Yeah, there you go, man, bear, pig. Kind of like that commercial, right? That Bud Light commercial. JoJo says, two. She would run for the hills. Rigo Rango says, been knowing Darkwolf for years. I'm old. Well, thanks for stopping and actually saying hi in the chat. We appreciate it, Rigo. And Michael Fontaine says it could be a post-science experiment. You know, that's not completely out of the question, is it? It very well could be one of the many science experiments that's escaped from labs, right? The next part of this case file is incredibly intriguing because it shares a characteristic that we also find in a lot of UFO farmland incidents. Check this out.
Actually, a bit north of here in Wadi, there were reports in 2012 of a string of violent attacks. I'm a freelance reporter, and I worked at the Mount Sterling Advocate, a local newspaper here in Kentucky, for 3 years. There were just a lot of farm animals were mauled. It was over and over the same type of attack.
And we hear a lot about the cattle and animal mutilations in a lot of UFO events, and they're also very, very specifically done, just like we're about to hear from the animals here. This Bearilla has a very specific way of attacking a creature.
It was the face off, the ears were off, the tongue was out. I think it was over like a span of 5 weeks that this happened. None of them were eaten, just mostly just viciously attacked, like it was almost for sport. So whatever the creature was that did this didn't really leave very many traces behind, so it was just confusing to the residents.
The tongue is one item that we find in a lot of UFO cases from cattle mutilations, is the tongue is surgically removed in those. However, there's no surgical anything behind this. This is literally a creature that is attacking clearly for sport, because it's not killing the animals. I don't know of any group of animals that could attack these large creatures like that wouldn't take a meal out of it or kill the animal, not just for sport of injuring the animal, and that's it. That is definitely new to both the cryptid case files as well as the just regular case files I've ever heard. I've never heard of a creature besides, very, very mean humans that have done anything like that before, especially not on a consistent basis like this.
All the attacks happened at night, and so nobody really got a good look at it. People were very afraid. A lot of people were taking extra measures to lock up their animals at night. A lot of people weren't letting their children play outside.
And even in the classic werewolf lore, it was always said that the creature only attacked at night. As a matter of fact, across a lot of lore, across pretty much all cultures, they have these stories of creatures that are nocturnal and only attack or hunt at night. So that doesn't necessarily make that an odd thing about this cryptid at all.
It did create a lot of panic in the area for months and months after the attacks. I've spoken with a local cryptozoologist about the incidents, and I know that he's very credible in my opinion, and he sort of related it to what could possibly be known as a Bearilla.
In his 40 years of research, Ron has studied dozens of cases of bloody attacks attributed to Bearilla.
And we will hear more about the Bearilla's hunting style, if you will, and more about the disturbing sides of this case file, as well as even earlier accounts than we've already heard of the Bearilla in the second half. But unfortunately, we do have to go ahead and take a network break right here. So my name's Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and you're listening to the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show, exclusively on Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. We'll be right back with the second half in just a moment. Don't you touch that dial. That's right.
We gotta stoke the fires and run off the men in black. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Oh yeah, howling at a Thursday night with Jerry Hicks and the DarkWolf's Den Show. Hi everyone, it's AJ, the Rippin' Rabbit. If you're enjoying this episode of Bearilla and you haven't done so already, please make sure to thumb up that video, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. You'll get our notifications every time we go live. We're here every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, bringing you the very best of common sense radio, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. I'll return again tomorrow night, Friday, September 3rd, with a look at Baba Vanga. Come along with me as we dive down the fascinating rabbit hole of a unique individual, a mystic, a psychic, if you will, known as Baba Vanga. That starts at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, as all shows do. Then Saturday night, come along with me as we explore the NFT digital art world craze. And I'm going to tell you, it's an absolute craze. A totally new way of categorizing digital art on the blockchain. That's going to be Saturday, September 4th, 7 p.m. Pacific. Boy, I'm excited for that one. Then we'll end out the weekend right with Beat Eugene 3, the first Sunday of September, September 5th. Join us for our interactive family game night, Beat Eugene. Games, riddles, puzzles, challenges. Speaking of mystics, Eugene, will you be defeated Sunday night? No. Whoa, very firm. I'll tell you one thing that's for certain. Before we end out the weekend right together with you, we will have the answer to that question. Will you beat Eugene, or perhaps will he beat you? Tune in Sunday night, September 5th, and end out the weekend right. But it goes extended into Tuesday night, Tuesday, September 7th. I don't know if it extends the weekend longer or if it starts the weekend quicker. But either way, Tuesday night videos hosted by your host, Champion Sports Nation. Now, this is not a regular YouTube broadcast. It takes place on our website, ripinrabbithole.com. Join the Rippin' Rabbits live in the VIP lounge Tuesday night, 7 p.m., 10/9 Central, as Tuesday night videos will be presenting Back to School. They're going to be exploring the music and movies related to the end of summer tradition, including music trivia, followed by open requests. And that's Tuesday, September 7th in the Backstage VIP Lounge. We'll return back to the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show and Jerry Hicks, tonight's Bearilla for September 2nd, 2021. You're listening to the Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole.
Reestablishing multiverse connection. Connection reestablished and secure.
This is My Life DIY, and
Hi, this is Jojo.
Hi, my name is Oz.
Hey everybody, it's AJ the Rippin' Rabbit.
This is Cynthia Sue Larson.
This is your man Meta, aka Propagate This Light.
And you're now listening
to DarkWolf's Den.
The DarkWolf's Den Show on Rippin' Common Sense Radio.
If you were meant to be controlled, you would have come with a remote, but you didn't. And that's why you listen to the DarkWolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and welcome back to the second half of the DarkWolf's Den Show for Thursday, September 2nd, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, so far tonight we have been discussing the Bearilla, a new, well, at least new to me, cryptid creature out of the backwoods of Kentucky. This thing is called the Gateway Werewolf. It is a very, very big creature, the body of a bear, and apparently the head of a wolf or a werewolf of some type. Very strange creature that seems to kill for sport. That's what we've learned so far. But even though we've heard a lot of modern day stories thus far, there are actually stories that go way back before the Europeans even walked the American continent.
According to Ron Coffey, the legend of Bearilla has its roots in the many cultures that have passed through Kentucky.
Now they've got legends of all different sorts, but the physical description is the same in every single legend.
And once again, I cannot emphasize the importance of that particular fact that they are exactly the same description in every single legend, all the way back to the original descriptions, not Europeans, ladies and gentlemen, but Native Americans. And I truly believe the Native Americans were literally describing what they were seeing in most all, if not all, of their legends.
The Native Americans had legends through this whole area, the Shawnee, Delaware, Iroquois. They all spoke of this same creature. They called it the Limerick.
So now we've got the Gateway Werewolf, the Bearilla, and the Native American tribe here has called it the Limerican. But there's another nickname for it, another more well-known nickname for it that you guys might recognize.
Go a little farther north, the Native Americans in that region called it a Windigo.
The Windigo. So perhaps this creature isn't just located in Kentucky. Perhaps it is a version of a creature in Kentucky that exists in many, many other places across the country. The Native American tribes in different areas definitely reported these in different areas of the country with different names, but the exact same description of the creature. But the Windigo, for those who have been researching paranormal for quite a while, you know the Windigo has another name in other Native American tribes, a name that you also might recognize even as a listener to the show.
And then you had out west, you had the same creature, but the Navajos called it the Skinwalker.
The Skinwalker, that's right. We've all heard of Skinwalker Ranch, at least those who have studied the paranormal for a good amount of time, have run across the story of the Skinwalker Ranch and the creatures out west that the Native Americans spoke of. And Native Americans spoke of many werewolf-type creatures, didn't they? It makes you wonder if it isn't the same creature with a different name, which I do believe it is, across different areas of the country. So the Bearilla might not be as unique as we once thought it was.
And of course, basically described just like all the modern sightings are, and it was when the French people settled up in the Great Lakes area. They brought with them the legend of the loup-garou, which is the French werewolf. These combined with the stories of the Lemmican and the Windigo, which then created basically an American loup-garou.
Now, I don't know about the stories combining. Perhaps they were all kind of talking about the exact same thing, and the stories just kind of got put together in a way that was originally meant to point out the fact that they are the same creature. And we have covered the loup-garou or loup-garou on this show at least once, if not more than once. The Louisiana werewolf or the Cajun werewolf. It makes you wonder if there is a wolf-type creature that is, I don't want to say haunting, but living in different wooded areas across different states. One that we're just yet to properly identify, right? That makes it a cryptozoological creature, right?
Native Americans didn't sit around and make up stuff just to mess with people. They reported what they see. So if the Native Americans speak of it, it has to be real, plain and simple. They don't add on, they don't take away, it is what it is. So I think it's several legends combined with the sightings of a flesh and blood animal that didn't quite fit into the sequence of known animals, and then the legends have sprung up around that.
But definitely whenever you have the same story repeated over and over and over again, it definitely kind of makes you wonder, what if something like that really exists?
We heard stories of strange events growing up, and it was just something that was part of the local folklore, the tradition really.
So it clearly has a number of eyewitnesses across time. But another strange thing about this creature is that it shares a common trait, once again, with the Bigfoot, like I mentioned earlier. Not the size this time, but its ability to vanish.
The Bearilla's got a real habit of being able to disappear. It's an aggressive creature. Really, the first modern sighting happened actually in 1944. A teenage boy was fishing, and it actually tried to take his fish. And he described some creature came up out of the bank. He described it as large, wolf-like, silver gray hair. So he put up a fight with the thing. Now, he lost. He said it turned around and actually grinned at him and walked on off with the fish, but he had to be treated at a hospital for deep lacerations. And the way we know this happened was some of the hospital employees actually leaked this information out.
So there's clearly a medical documentation and record to follow up to verify this information if it were true. I haven't had the time to go digging for it, but if you would like to go and do the research yourself, by all means, there is a research project for you, right? But you remember last week we spoke about the Bell Witch and the first murder by a spirit in all of America by the Bell Witch. Now we have the human that might have also had a fatal encounter with Bearilla.
The only fatal attack of a human occurred in 1981.
It never was officially listed in any newspapers. It leaked out actually just kind of by word of mouth from the people who originally responded. The police found a camper, door ripped off, blood smeared on the camper, and they found remains of people, not whole bodies, remains of people. One of the hands was clutching a handful of grayish hair, and they actually found the girl too. She was.
And Champion Sports Nation over here says, Luke Skinwalker, I really like that. Dark Horse, wow, you're on while I'm not working. Keep on. Glad to have you here, Dark Horse 108, another old friend of the DarkWolf's Den channel over in the DWD chat room.
Was up in a tree about 20, 30 feet up in a tree hanging over a branch, what was left of her. And the tree bark had the same grayish colored hair that was in the hand. And then it just basically storage dried up. And some of the original responders have said that they were actually threatened by government officials not to tell anything they had seen, because actually the whole economy of that area is based on that recreational area. You know, you wouldn't want something like that to get out. That would not be good for the economy. And like I said, that's the only one where it's been really implicated and it could have been a murder of humans.
If I'm not mistaken, and I really don't believe that I am, I think this is the same creature that has been called the Land Between the Lakes monster, or the LBL werewolf, an area not very far from the location that I preside in Tennessee, but the secret cave, if you will. But there is a well-known story. Pete, my buddy Pete over at Creepy Little Book channel on YouTube, definitely go check him out. Great friend of the channel over here, friend of the show. Definitely check his work out on the Land Between the Lakes monster. This is, I believe, the same case file we just heard of the Bearilla. So that's interesting too. I have not heard that case file before outside of the LBL monster. And so the fact that it's brought up as a possible Bearilla encounter, that's really, really intriguing. And since I don't really have much more information available on the Bearilla, let's take a look at that Land Between the Lakes case.
Just south of the Land Between the Lakes in Tennessee, a man and his dog were in his living room when his dog started to growl at something outside the door. He sees what he thinks is a large dog trying to get through the dog door. It reaches its arm through the door, trying to grab his dog. It didn't have normal paws. It had what looked like human hands.
And once again, closer to a Windigo or a Skinwalker, but this is the first account that I've heard within the Bearilla accounts of having human hands on this type of creature.
The head of this dog looked 3 times the size of a normal dog. It looked as if the dog was going to break through the dog door. He goes to get his nearest gun. As he returns, the creature is gone. There have been strange sightings of a large canine creature around the Land Between the Lakes area over the years.
And even though this case file was in Tennessee, it's not very far at all from where the original Bearilla case file that we heard about tonight came from.
A common characteristic between them all are red glowing eyes, an unusual howl, and violent attacks on animals.
And once again, it matches the Bearilla creature as far as the violent attacks on animals being a large dog-faced style creature with the oversized body that some would consider the size of a bear.
In the early 1980s, a family was brutally killed outside their camper near an area called the Bunkers in the LBL. The camper was torn apart and their limbs were completely separated from their body. The attacks supposedly could not be attributed to any known animal around the region. It is said that the police kept the story quiet and out of the media in order for tourists to keep coming to the LBL.
They kept it so well hidden that even myself, being a 28-year paranormal investigator, have only learned of this story within the last year or so. Once again, thanks to my buddy Pete over there at the Creepy Little Book YouTube channel. He brought this to light to me, and you know, it makes sense if that's your primary income that they're going to try to cover that up and act like nothing happened there. Thank goodness this information has finally come to light.
There were claw marks on the back of the father's body that were made by 4 long claws and a smaller digit that looked like a thumb. A clue that was left behind was attached to the decapitated arm of the father. In between the fingers was a clump of dark brown fur.
What do you guys think so far? Do you think there is something to this land between the lakes monster? Do you think it is just a animal attack, a random bear attack of some type? I can tell you from living in and around the area for many, many years, I don't know of any creature that would do this type of attack that lives in this area. But what do you guys think? Go ahead and put a 1 if you think this is the same as the Bearilla we've been hearing about all night. Go ahead and put a 2 in the chat room if you think it's just a regular old random bear attack and they covered it up, or some kind of animal attack and they covered it up. Put a 3 if you're not quite sure if it really is the Bearilla we've been talking about all night or not.
One of the police officers went inside the camper and noticed rips along the walls. At the time, he thought they were just a result of a knife being swung violently. But at the same time, they kind of looked like claw marks. He wasn't sure exactly as to what kind of weapon could make this kind of damage. One of the children was in the camper. The other one was missing. The coroner later determined that there was no sharp object, but claws with brute force behind it. The animals that were ruled out were bears, wild cats, and wolves.
So, ladies and gentlemen, after hearing this case file, my grandson wants to know,
what do you think?
What do you think? What do we got going over here in the YouTube chat rooms? Tommy Apples says 1. Yes, definitely a Bearilla. Definitely the same creature we've been talking about all night long. Errol Taylor says 3. Not quite sure if it is or not. Could be either way. Champion Sports Nation leaning towards 2. Possibly not at all. Alva Yarder with a 3, unsure on the fence also. Welcome, Terry Taggart. Glad you were able to join us this evening. JoJo's with the 1111 definitely thinks that it is the exact same creature that we've been speaking of all night. Dark Horse 108 with the 1. So he definitely also thinks it's the exact same creature we've been speaking of tonight. And I'll be honest with you guys, I do. I think the LBL monster, LBL werewolf, or Land Between the Lakes werewolf is absolutely the same creature that we spoke of as the Bearilla all night. Mainly because it's not geologically very far away from where the original Bearilla attacks occurred. So it is more likely than not to me that if the Bearilla is real, and I kind of am at this point definitely believing it is, it could be the exact same creature as the LBL monster or the Windigo or the Skinwalker or whatever other name has been given to this creature as a different name, because we could very well be talking a lot of times in cryptozoology about the same creature, even though we have named them different things. I hope everybody has enjoyed tonight's episode so far, but what do you guys think about tonight's story of Bearilla and its connections to the Windigo and the LBL monster and all the other different creatures? Do you think it is a cryptid that is not necessarily unidentified in Kentucky, but a cryptid that is renamed a different name, but a cryptid we already know? Or do you think it's just another regular creature? In the end, all you can do is look at the evidence, apply a little common sense, and
you be the judge.
We got to close it out. That's right, that's it for this episode of the DarkWolf's Den Show for Thursday, September 2nd, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the den may be closing, but don't you worry, the weekend fun has only just begun. That's right, check it out. Tomorrow, Friday, September 3rd, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. All shows here on the network start at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Anyway, tomorrow, our buddy AJ the Rippin' Rabbit will be back on the airwaves with an all-new episode of the Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show. That's right. Tomorrow night, he's going to be talking about Baba Vanga. the Bulgarian mystic and completely blind, but seeing a lot more than any of us could ever see. That's right. That is tomorrow, Friday, September 3rd, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole YouTube channel, as well as rippinrabbithole.com and Rippin' Common Sense Radio. Then on Saturday, September 4th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, AJ the Rippin' Rabbit comes back for another episode with a discussion on NFT digital art. This is a whole new way to collect and maintain your digital art pieces. And some of these are going for insane amounts of money, but all of it is tracked on the blockchain. Incredibly interesting, and so much to talk about on Saturday, September 4th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show. And then on Sunday, it is the most fun you can have on radio. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Beat Eugene Show, 3rd edition, will be on Sunday, September 5th, 2021. Make sure you come on by for a night of fun, games, riddles, and see if you can beat Eugene. Just like last month's winners, Sandy B, Eric the Fred, and Earth Daughter beat Eugene. I played along, but unfortunately Eugene beat me. Can you beat Eugene? Find out on Sunday, September 5th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, right here on Rippin' Common Sense Radio, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. And then on Tuesday, September 7th, of course being the first of the month, we have another show we do that is not broadcast on YouTube or the radio. It is a backstage exclusive. That's right, you guys seen my championship belt earlier. We, of course, are talking about the Tuesday night videos. This month is going to be all about going back to school, that tradition we carry on every single year. Champion Sports Nation hosts that every first Tuesday of the month back there in the Backstage Lounge over on the rippinrabbithole.com, and that is easy to access. All you got to do is go over and sign up for the VIP pass on the rippinrabbithole.com. That will also, as a bonus, get you an email every week with all of the Darkwolf's dens and Rippin' Rabbit Holes we're going to be diving down all weekend long. That's right. Also, while you're on the rippinrabbithole.com, like I said before, you can go over to the 24/7 Backstage Lounge, my personal favorite hangout, and where the Tuesday night videos will be held this Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, of course, same time as all shows with the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. And of course, while you're over there, you can also drop down the rabbit hole. That is our exclusive social media section over there. If you've got information you want to share with the rabbits that you don't want to be censored by the big boys, go ahead and drop it over in Down the Rabbit Hole on the rippinrabbithole.com. That's right. There's also a variety of groups over there and a large variety of fun stuff to do. We've got the Darkwolf's Den Show group over there, as well as lucid dreaming and many more things depending on what you're interested in. Also, like I mentioned last night, if you go over to the rippinrabbithole.com and scroll down the page, you're going to see a variety of recipes. If you're looking for something to cook all week long, just stop on by and see if there's something there that you're interested in, right? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, before I go, do make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you'll make sure you can get the notifications every time we go live, both on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole and on the Darkwolf's Den Show YouTube channel. Also ring that bell and share this out to all of your social media sites. We very much appreciate you letting everyone know we're here. That's the kind of support we need right now, ladies and gentlemen. Get our name out there. That's all we ask. Anyways, speaking of our name, my name is Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and on behalf of AJ the Rippin' Rabbit, Chick Mandela Effect, Michael Musco, Walt House, everyone involved with Rippin' Common Sense Radio, as well as our special thanks to Tom Bayless and Red Shed Studios. Get down with it, Tom. If you're looking for a custom soundtrack for your next project, make sure you check out Red Shed Studios. On behalf of all these folks, ladies and gentlemen, as well as our incredible mod team, my name is Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. And remember, until next time, stay awake, but dare to dream. How? Yeah. That's right. Good night, everybody.
Unlocked and into the dark. Some things are better left unknown. And I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever Oh, what a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner. Is it in her? What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner. Is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion? I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion?